we've got a lot of people pivoting right now. They're starting different businesses. Maybe it's a side business to what they're already doing. Some people are creating a whole new business within the wedding industry. Some are coming in, some are leaving. But for those that are pivoting and they need a new name, what do you have to say about that? What's the first thing they should do getting a name for their wedding business?
Well, first off, the idea of getting a new name is a great one if you are pivoting into something different, because if your name does not describe what you do, you are going to, that's going to hamper your efforts from the very beginning, because you're going to spend time explaining, well, our name says that, but we do something new. It's better to start fresh with a new name. Getting a new name can be a challenge. There's all kinds of issues that that go with that. The first one is that you need a URL as much as you need a name. So now you have to not only come up with a great name, but you need to find a URL that works with that new name. So that is something to take into consideration as you're coming up with that. And you have to look at a name for SEO purposes as well. I like when businesses specialize in weddings, even if they don't, but they have a marketing effort that is specific to weddings. And so weddings by, or including weddings in the name, can be a good thing. But if you do things other than weddings, then you of course have to have a parallel or separate marketing effort for those non-wedding things that you do. But I never suggest trying to do them all in the same marketing, the same brochure, the same website. Take your wedding things away and put them separate, with separate branding, separate website, separate marketing effort. And that's going to do the best, because couples who are planning their weddings love businesses that specialize in them. They don't like jack of all trades.
Okay, so should you put wedding in your name?
If it works, I think it's a good idea. It's a pretty easy way to show people that you do weddings. So let's say you're XYZ DJs and you do weddings and parties and dances and quinceaneras and bar and bat mitzvahs and nightclubs or whatever. You do all of those things, but you decide that it's going to be better to market your wedding services separately. So the logical thing would be weddings by XYZ DJs would be a simple way to do that. And then you may not even necessarily need a separate website, just have a separate section within your existing website just for the weddings. And then when you buy that new URL, you point that URL just to that part of your website.
When you're picking a name, what do you think of .live, .co, .net? Is it all the .com, or can you use other ones?
If there is any way to get a .com that works for you, by all means, go for that, because so many people just assume that it has a .com. .co is the stupidest one of all, because you see .co and your brain thinks .com, and you're typing .com, and if the reason you got .co was because the .com was not available, you're going to be sending a whole lot of traffic to someone else's website. So I would avoid that one. There is a lot of top-level domains, which is the part after the dot. But if at all possible, do the .com, because that's what people that's what they assume it is going to be.
How about picking a name? This is maybe more of my thing, but I'll hear what you have to say. But I'm sure you have an opinion on this also. When people pick a name, don't pick a slogan that somebody else can use, such as a few things I wrote down is like, don't make the name of your business Perfect Weddings or Awesome Florist or Best Wedding Showcase or Wedding Experience, where people can take that, use that as a slogan in advertising their business. What say you?
I have two different thoughts on that. I think having a name like Awesome Weddings is kind of awesome. But yes, it is prone to be hijacked. And so something more unique is probably a good idea, but not so unique that it is weird and doesn't fit, or people look at that and scratch their heads. I can tell you lots of stories about stupid names that people come up with for their business.
With that is you would have to say the name.
Yes, I would have to say the name, but there are plenty of examples of names that you see, and then you're scratching your head like, how did they come up with that?
Okay, how about let's go to the real obvious one. I'll do the low hanging fruit here. What about misspellings? Unique with a UNIKEE.
Not a good idea for when they Google you, and or when they email you, or when they type in your URL. Now, if it is a common misspelling, just buy the URLs with the common misspellings if they're available and point them to the same place. That's a lot easier than if you have a word that is could be spelled multiple ways. You want to be able to say it to somebody, go to our website at this, and you don't want to have to spell it every time. And so for the same reason that, as you see on the screen, I'm Marc with a C. If my email was Marc with a C at teamwedding.com or at weddingexperience.com or whatever email I've had, I've always made it a practice of getting Marc with a K and Marc with a C, because even people that have known me for years and years still spell my name wrong. And I don't want to miss half of my emails, just like you don't want to miss half of your web traffic. And so either have a name that sounds like it's spelled, or buy the common misspellings. And I guarantee you that the person that owns Amazon.com as a M at the end and not an N. Last time I checked, I think it was another bookstore that got smart and bought that. They're getting lots of traffic that, of course, is supposed to go to Amazon.
Okay, well, one final thing I have, and you touched on it, so you gave me a good segue here. Email addresses. This is a little off topic, but I want to hit it, and I'm sure we're going to hit it again in future installments, because people that own a URL, such as teamwedding.com, okay? So you have that, but you have a bunch of emails and you want them to all go into your Gmail account. So then in all my advertising, I would say at gmail.com. What is wrong with using your AOL, your Gmail, your Yahoo.com? Explain how that is. Some people totally know what we're talking about.
Okay, if your email is AOL.com, you've already shown people that you're ancient. So you definitely don't want that. Now, a lot of people use Gmail, and there was a time when everybody used AOL and Yahoo and those types of services. And then Gmail came around, and it's good. And so a lot of people got Gmail addresses, and so they use, for example, teamwedding at gmail.com. Don't know where that goes. But but what happens, number one, down the road, if you decide that there's this great new email program and I don't really want to use Gmail anymore. Or if you change, I mean, if you're using Comcast, or then you change internet providers, whatever it is, by using your email at yourdomain.com. Number one, sounds so much more professional. It just does. It sounds better. It sounds like you have your act together, as opposed to anything at Gmail or AOL or Yahoo or whatever. So it just sounds more professional, and it allows you to, behind the scenes, change to any email provider that you would like. Now, remember, you can still keep your Gmail account. I have my entire email system set up within Gmail. I use Gmail all the time, but that's behind the scenes. Marc at weddingexperience.com, Marc at teamwedding.com, pass through to my Gmail. So you don't have to undo anything you currently do. You just point your emails to your domain, and it's a pretty easy process. You can watch YouTube videos on how to do it, but it's simple. There's no reason not to do that. It's so much more professional than having George Smith 1945 at gmail.com for George Smith's photography.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when a bride is getting an email coming in and they see it from Snazzy Susie 456 at gmail.com, it would be better if it was Susie's Great Cakes.com.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for joining again for more Q&A. Anyone who wants to ask this question, you can email Renee at teamwedding.com. We will answer your questions. You can always, sometimes we have open days where we just answer questions when people come in. But in the future, if you want us to get your question answered, we will do that. And we might even be able to join you in on the call. Depends what's going on that night. But thank you for joining us. And
see you next time.